Welcome back to my channel. A lot of you would be having this aspiration that, we want to be at the top B schools. IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, XLRI, IML. Now, if any of these top 5 B schools is your aspiration, then I have with me somebody who has cracked one of these, who has cracked XLRI Jamshedpur's BM program. I have with me Mr. Kevin Mark, and with him, I will help you actually understand that what could be your strategy when you are appearing for XAT and for CAT, and what are his experiences which he can share with you. Also, he is a student of my course called How to Be School, and I will be speaking to him about his experience from it. So hi Kevin, it is great to have you here on this call.
Great to be here as well, Darpan. Thank you for inviting me.
So to start this off, I would be extremely interested, and I'm sure that the entire audience would be extremely interested to know who are you, where are you from, and how is it that your story with CAT and XAT it had started. So please, over to you.
My name is Kevin Mark, and I'm from a small town called, it's not small anymore at least, but a small town called Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. I've been living here for the past 20 years, but I was born in Kerala, in Kozhikode in Kerala. So in Kozhikode. So for me, IIM Kozhikode was like a dream college at that point of time when I completed my graduation. So then my journey with CAT started in 2019 when I was in the final year of mechanical engineering from Loyola College in Chennai. I just looked through what are the past papers and some just general preparation, and I went and I got 96.4%. But sadly, I didn't take any of the IIMs in the form, so I wasn't eligible for even the CAP round at that point of time. And so further down the next year, I wanted to go deep into it, and I wanted to dedicate full time to CAT. But then life had other plans, and then I switched to marketing and I learned more about marketing, and I got into marketing full time. So that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. I've been deep into advertising and marketing, specifically Meta and Google market. And then I thought okay, it's already been 4 years, so this is one of the last 2 years where I can actually go and complete an MBA. I wanted to do a 2-year program because I have some I want to learn about the other aspects of the business as well, not only marketing. And so I wrote CAT this year. I got a 99.3 percentile. But then XAT was I felt quant, even though I'm an engineer, quant was a weak section for me.
Same. Yeah. I'm also an engineer, but quant is very weak. Yeah,
especially since CAT it doesn't look at whether you just 1 or 2 questions can change your whole score. If you get stuck in a wrong question, then your thing is done. But I felt that was a redeeming thing for me because I had a lot more time to think and execute on whatever I had in mind, since it's the 3-hour exam. And so I cracked that with 99.99%.
Lovely.
So I felt even verbal was a strong suit for me, and even the DM section and along with verbal, that constituted about 2/3 of the paper. So I felt that played into my favor during XAT. And then obviously, since I'm a general engineering male, I didn't get calls from I just got Lucknow sustainability, but then I didn't get any of the top 6. I got a call from Shillong, and then the CAP IIMs as well, and IIFT. And so I cleared Shillong and CAP, except I think Trichy, because Trichy has a percentage instead of percentile. So there's not a big difference between percentiles. So I think only Trichy I was on the wait list, but other than that, I cleared all the CAP IIMs and IIM Shillong along with XLRI Jamshedpur, both BM and HR.
Then obviously the place to go for you has to be XLRI BRM, for which you've scored so much. Now you would be the right human being to speak about this, since your scores in both CAT and XAT has been exceptional. First of all, what was your strategy to study for these exams, and should the strategy for CAT and XAT be the same, or is there something else which you have to do for XAT, something else for CAT? Please help our audience with this. That strategy kya thi?
Yeah, so actually for CAT I took a couple of test series as well. I feel mocks are very important. Sorry,
which ones? Test series?
I think I took both time and IMS, but I didn't. But I felt time was a bit on the difficult side, so I felt I was getting demotivated because I was getting lower marks on time. So I stopped time between, and I went only with IMS, and I was getting higher marks on IMS. I felt that was more towards the difficulty of the papers which I've already attempted before. I felt that was somewhat towards, even though the difficulty is increasing year on year. So I started off with a mock. I don't know if many people advise this, but I started off with a mock, and then and I analyzed like, what are my weak areas. I felt like I was better in verbal compared to quant. So I felt like I had to dedicate a lot of effort towards quant, especially since it's been like, 4 years since I've even touched maths, right, on a major level. So like all those quick calculations, and I had to develop that intuition for those quick calculations and other, related concepts. And so going deeper, I took a coaching, I think from 2IIM. It's like an online coaching. So like I feel like Rajesh Balasubramanian sir, like he's from IIT Madras and IIM Bangalore, so he's really good at quant. So I felt that okay, that's the best thing for me, because since I taken in 2019 as well, just the refresher course. So I felt that's a really good coaching for me. Moving forward, like I analyzed what I did is basically, since I was working full time, I had to I had 9 to 5 I had to work, and then after that I had to specify some amount of time for CAT. So then what I used to do is I used to write a mock on Sunday, find out what are my weak areas are, and then 2 days each during the week. So like Monday and Wednesday would be quant, and then Tuesday and Thursday would be DILR, and then Friday and Saturday something could be I forgot the other section, quant, DILR, and verbal ability. Yeah. So the other section, so two days each, and then I would just retake a mock. And so like maybe like at that point, maybe some of my other weak areas might be exposed at that point of time, and so I just repeated the same process. So like take a mock, 2 days each to each section, and then again retake a mock. Right. So that was my strategy. And towards the end, like I felt like okay, 4 days before the program, I just stopped studying everything. I just like let it be. I didn't want to take much more stress on myself. So I stopped my preparation. I didn't take any mocks. I didn't want to let those scores affect me. And I feel like CAT, especially, it's the more expectations you have on the exam, the more difficult it is to crack it. Right? So if you don't have a job, if you take a year off and just prepare for CAT, like you're just banking on this one day and everything should go right for you. Especially since there's a higher luck factor as well. So like you just get stuck in DLR in one set and you're not able to solve it, then you're just out of the race. That itself. So I felt that since I was working full time as well and then preparing for CAT, I had that thing to fall back on. So even though if I didn't crack CAT, I would have fallen back on this. So I felt I had this thing, and so I was able to crack it much easier than someone who had the pressure of the external validation, or like they don't have a job and this is all they have. And so after that, like after CAT, like there was a month or two in between CAT and XAT. So during that time, I tried to focus on the DM section, because that was like the new section. Like because generally like there's a huge overlap between CAT and XAT preparation in terms of verbal ability and quants, and the DLR section is somewhat there's like a few questions in quant as well. So the DM section is what I focused on, and I felt that like it's not like some of those questions, like you have to understand like what the examiner would have in mind, rather than like you trying to apply your own ethical biases or like whatever you had in mind. So I felt like you have to understand their perspective and what they could think of, and then try to apply that. So DM was my best performing section. I think I got like everything right except one in DM. So that was like my percentile boost in DM. And then in quant, and actually I got more bucks in quant than verbal ability. I don't know for some reason, because verbal ability is my strength. But then quant, since they had like a more data interpretation side of things, I felt like that was helping me a lot. Especially since CAT, they got a lot of logic into it. There's no data interpretation as such. I felt like that was my strong suit, and I felt like that whatever weakness was there in CAT for me, that turned into a plus.
You have explained the entire this thing in a very nice manner. I have 3 things to ask in this. Jo bhi abhi aapne bola. The first thing which I'd like to ask is that a lot of students, especially the ones who have their work experience and everything, they say to me that, sir, after the day's work, we don't feel it from the inside that we'll come home and we'll study. So how is it that you were able to, have this thing inside that, no, I have to study, kya kara uske liye? And plus you also had enrolled for the classes. So when were those classes, and how, you used to say to yourself that, nahi yaar, I have to do it? Kaise karte the?
Yeah, so the classes were like self-paced. It wasn't like a fixed schedule. So it was an online class. So I could, I feel like I learned better in that way, because like whenever they have classes, especially since we are working professionals, we may not have the time to, sit and like go to those particular topics. And I felt like, some topics which I already have a good grasp at, like I'd be, wasting my time, because since not wasting my time, but then I could like dedicate like whatever minimum time I have to the things which I require the most. So I feel like time management is very important. So, you can feel like sometimes like there are some concepts which you feel but that draws into a false sense of security, saying that, okay, I can just focus on these ones. I'll leave everything else. I just focus on these ones. But then as CAT 2023 showed us, like even within arithmetic, they had algebra, right? And even within this, they had other concepts. So at least before, people used to say you can focus on only maybe like these 3-4 topics and you'll be able to cruise through the quants. But now I don't think it's anymore like that. So it's all interrelated. So like whatever I used to do is basically like whatever I was weak at, I just used to come home that day and then revise those particular concepts since it was self-paced course. And also I feel like what I did wrong as well earlier on, I started like a bit earlier and then I stopped. What I did was basically the first day when I felt like studying, I used to like give it my all, right? Maybe study for like 5-6 hours a day, right? And then that was like not sustainable, so I was burning out. And what I thought is like, okay, I'll just start with the mock, maybe like spend like half an hour per day. That's it, just half an hour per day. I'll just revise one concept and I'll just stop with that. And then over time, within the 20-21 days wherein you do something consistently for 20-21 days, it becomes like a habit inside you. So then you just put in the effort and you can slowly keep increasing the duration. I feel like a lot of aspirants, what they do wrong is basically they feel like they're going to study today. They put 6 hours a day. Maybe that'll work for maybe 3-4 days. Then after that, they just stop off. It just breaks up. The same thing as a gym, right? Like the first day you go, you feel like lifting for 2 hours, but then after that, you just stop in a week. So it's better to just go for half an hour, then increase it to 45 minutes, and then keep increasing it towards what your goal is.
So what you're saying is that your aim has to be that how you can stretch that same thing for longer, instead of being that on just that day I'll go all out with this and I'll have full intensity on it. It's not about the intensity, it's about how well and how long you can do it. Great. Then you spoke about that each time you took a mock test, you used to like study it like अच्छे से. So how is it that a student should properly analyze the mock as per you?
So I feel like after taking a mock, right, like people don't spend enough time on analysis. Especially when they have a bad performance. Right? When you have a good performance, it's easy to analyze your mock. You can say like, okay, I did well in this section, I did well in this session. Very easy. But when you do badly, it's like you don't want to look at your failure. Right? At that moment, it seems like you have failed in that particular mock. But I feel like you should like change your mindset a bit to look at it in a positive way. To say that, see, this is what is keeping me from achieving what I have to achieve, and this is a roadblock in my way. It's not like a failure, but just a stepping stone to where I want to go. And if I improve in these areas, that's when I can be able to reach the particular destination where I have reached. Right? So analyzing a mock is like really important, especially like nowadays. I think like every platform has like their own analysis, like a basic. They give a basic analysis on where you are weak at, where you're strong at, what sections you should improve, what particular chapters you should improve. So focus on just download that analysis, download the PDF report, maybe like take a printout if you want to. Just check it out and just see where all you're lacking in, and then go deep into it. Like don't just look at this particular section. Within that section, what all specific problems you have made mistakes at. Try to do about like 5-10 problems in the same, and then you reattempt the mock. Maybe you'll be faced with a set of new set of problems. But after you take 15 marks, you will find out that most of your weaknesses have been ironed out, because like the first few times you take it, there'll be different problems which crop up, right? But then over time it just smooths out because you have learned all where your weaknesses are, and you'll be able to apply it towards the end, and then most probably your mock score would be on an exponential manner, wherein like initially like you're seeing very few results because you're getting faced with new problems, but after some time like most of the problems are sorted out, so it grows exponentially.
Exactly. So it is extremely important that right from the first one which you attempt, you need to spend these kind of efforts and hours so that you can understand yourself, and as you do it for more mocks, by the end of it will be a much more faster thing for you to do, and you will be able to see the outcomes. One more thing which you had said, which I would especially be interested to know about, is that see, for the scores which you have, which are like exceptional scores, it is very important that on the day of these tests, you have to be very cool. You have to be chilled out like anything. Otherwise, these scores, they can't happen. What is your strategy? What was your strategy bhi nahi bolunga usko. How does one help himself or herself be chilled out on that day? Because the real deal happens on that day. Tumne agar sab kuch अच्छे से भी करा हुआ हो, if on that day you're not on your best, it'll all fall down. So for that day, क्या specific advice hai?
This might be counterintuitive, right, to a lot of people, but then like I feel like instead of being like ultra positive, right, like saying that okay, I'm going to crack this exam, like I am a person who says that okay, what's the worst that can happen, right? Maybe you fail CAT, right, and then what happens? Maybe you can reattempt it next year. There's a lot of other exams, there's a lot of other OMATs like NMAT, SNAP and other exams. Like if you crack just one exam. So like I had this principle wherein it's just like you need just one seat in one college, right? Just one seat in one college. Like you don't need to get seats in all the colleges, right? Just one seat in one college and then you're through. So I was pessimistic from the start. I was saying like, okay, even if I fail, it's fine. So I didn't have the pressure on me. And then one more thing I would advise people is like, don't take a gap year, right? Just do something, because otherwise there's extra pressure on you. Like you're just focusing on that one day where luck might not be in your favor, and that whole year might be gone because of it, right? So I feel like just have if you're studying during college, that's a different thing. But then if you have a job, just stick with the job and then attempt it on the side. It's not like a really difficult exam where you require like 6 hours every day of learning. The last 4-5 months, you just be consistent and you study for 2-3 hours a day. I think you'll be able to crack it quite easily.
Absolutely. You see, what I think you have said here is extremely important. See, what happens with us is that for us, CAT and XAT, and especially the first one, CAT, it is an event. That day is like the biggest day of the year, this and that. It should not be like. Ideally, you should reach a stage wherein this is just one more exam which I have to take. Obviously, for me to say this is very, very simple that, feel like this, like that, but I can totally agree with you, because when I was a student and when I was an aspirant, in my very first attempt, how it had happened was that my score in CAT, it was around 84, and I knew that, yeah, with 84 I will not be able to do kuch bhi is saal. And then I had to appear for this exam, the XAT, and I had inside of me, I was like, yeah, nahi yaar, if I have not been able to score well in CAT, how will I score well in XAT? So in my head, on that day of the XAT day, I was like, yeah, I am sure XAT will not go well, and anyways I'll have to appear for it again. So I went into XAT exam assuming that this is going to go bad, because that went bad. Obviously I'm not so great, this and that. I wrote it as if I don't care. I got an XLRI call from that. Would you believe it? So what you said, I felt it, that is the way to go about it, that you cannot take stress. Now you have also enrolled for this course HTB. I would want to know from you that how is it that you found me, and why is it that you were like that, yes, we should actually enroll? Kya hua? Kyun kara enroll?
So like I found you on YouTube actually. So I was watching your YouTube videos from the beginning. Like I felt like, like the way you present things, and especially now, like nowadays I feel like, when I'm on Reddit and on CAT preparation subreddits, and like, hearing from people, like they always have like a biased perspective, right? Based on either whether they have studied that college, or, they have some association with it, or they have certain biases. So I feel like whatever you brought out in all your comparisons and like, across colleges, and it was very data driven. So you say like, this is the hard facts, these are what you can expect, this is what data I have, and you take a decision based on that, right? You're not like influencing people to go towards certain things or like come away from certain things, like based on, and you understand that each candidate is different. Like some person might be different. Like I see like a lot of people giving advice like, okay, no, I am Trichy is better than I am Udaipur, or I am Udaipur is better than I am. So that doesn't make sense for someone who, like, because each individual is different, right? They have a different goals, they want to get into different domains. So people should like understand that. And I felt like you had like really good presentation skills, like you were able to convey things in an easy manner to help people understand as well, and then as well as providing data and like, logic behind like each decision which you. So I felt that was really good, and I was able to be engaged throughout like 1 hour videos, right? Like even though I got into XLRI, I found myself watching the new IIMs comparison as well. So I watched the entire video. So it was it was compelling. It was compelling. So that's why I felt like, okay, since XLRI starts their classes a bit early, so I felt like, I had like a couple of weeks left before starting B school. So I felt like, I needed something to bridge that gap, right? Wherein since I've been in the industry, and like, even like I've been a bit far away from education as well as a whole for the past like 4 years if you don't count the CAT. So I felt like something to bridge that gap would be an ideal thing, and I found the course like really, really helpful, especially like since you are from one of the top new IIMs as well. So you gave like an in-depth, insider view of whatever happens inside of B school, and what you should go for, what you should look at, what you should focus on, and I felt that was really in-depth and helpful.
Great. That's great. So now that you will be heading on to your B school, I would love to know that what is it that you want to do from there? Like you want to get into finance or marketing or consulting, या फिर अभी कुछ मैंने सोचा नहीं है, फिर क्या है? Like what is your aim from that MBA?
So like I have like a few conflicting things like which I want from MBA. I don't know. I don't know if it makes exact sense as of now. Like so I feel like I'm quite good at the marketing side of things. I want to learn about I don't know, a lot of people don't go to MBA for the specific learnings. They go for the placements and everything else. But I feel like I want to learn about the other functions as well, because I'm interested in entrepreneurship as well. So I have launched I've launched a few small products here and there, like a marketing brochure, like a 300-page marketing brochure for startup founders, and I got that up to maybe like $300-400 in revenue. So that was like a small scale, but I feel like I was lacking some specific aspects. I was good in this, I was good in marketing, but like the other aspects of business and handling everything else, that was a bit difficult for me. Like I dabbled in different types of businesses as well, as in e-commerce, in the recruiting side of things as well, remote jobs and other things, because I had gone through that process. So I feel like learning about this from an MBA, plus like once I spend a few years in the industry, like I can like start and build my startup. Because like I feel nowadays, like a lot of people say like startup founders start at like 22, 23, but that is like the outlier, right? Most people are like have some industry experience, they find a good problem within the industry, and by the time they're 30, 35, once they have spent like a good amount of time in the industry, that is when they start. Because like these 20-year-olds who start businesses, those are like kind of outliers in the industry, but because of the media and they hype them up. But then the average founder is between 30 to 35 years old. So I feel like after spending some time in the industry, maybe in marketing or even consulting roles, once I able to repay like a small chunk of the loan, I'll start something on the side, and then maybe build it up into something bigger.
So what you've just now explained is something which I say to my students always, that because you are in a school wherein they have this thing that you can have other the placements, does not mean that you need to focus only on that. If you have that thing in you that you can build something of your own, even at a smallest of the scales, it can help you in so much ways. It can help you in finding things from outside. You can find a job from the outside, or you can build something of your own. And it is great that you have had this experience, and you also have this idea that yes, while I will be inside my MBA, I will do something about it again and would surely grow. Now, something which you like, something which you like to say to the students who are now in that phase where you were in, that something which you think will be extremely fruitful for them.
Yeah, so I feel like I don't know if I'm beating the same bush, but I'm just saying like one thing would be like don't like let that one day determine like your self-worth, right? Or your understanding of yourself, saying that this is one day is going to determine my life. It's nothing like that. It's just another day of your life. Like CAT, you have different options. You just have to crack one good seat and one good beast, right? That's it. And then second thing is like if you're working right now, just focus on your work, and then this can be like a small part of your life. It shouldn't like encompass your life so that it's affecting your work and the other way around. You have to dissociate with things, right? I feel like nowadays like people can't dissociate with it, so they carry their work home, and then that becomes an issue, and they're not able to focus on studies either, or they prepare for CAT only, and then their work gets affected, right? So you should learn to dissociate things. Like even if you work fully on from Monday to Friday, it's fine. You can just focus on Saturday, Sunday for 6 months, and you can still crack CAT with about 99%, right? And the third thing is like don't take too much pressure on yourself, right? Like saying that this is it, right? Just let it be another day. Just associate with everything, and even within sections, right? Like if you're doing bad in one section, don't let it carry over to the next section, right? If this is one section, just dissociate. That is done. Like I'm just going to focus on the next 40 minutes.
So important.
Right? Just dissociate from each section and try to do your best. Like do your best, like whatever you can, and then I think you will land up where you have to be. If you give your best from yourself.
Absolutely, Kevin. Kevin, it was great to have you on this call, to know from you your experiences and your entire thing about how you went from planning about that, okay, I'll appear for CAT and XAT, acing both of these exams, and finally now you'll be heading to XLRI. It was great to have you here, and thank you so much, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you as well. It's lovely talking to you.
Absolutely, Kevin. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and goodbye.